Imagine waking up tomorrow morning, stepping outside for a simple walk before breakfast, and watching your deepest, most stubborn belly fat disappear. Sounds like an empty fitness infomercial promise, right? But this single morning habit, walking on an empty stomach, is actually a precise neurochemical override that forces your body to rewrite its entire fat-burning protocol. Here is the twist. For one group of people, this works with terrifying efficiency. For another, it's nothing but an empty, exhausting ritual that leaves them running in place. The dividing line isn't genetics, and it isn't even your daily calorie deficit. It comes down to a hidden metabolic switch that most people flip in the wrong direction before they even tie their shoes.
Stop scrolling. Fasted movement is an absolute cheat code. If you stop ruining your hormone levels before you even step outside. Let's run the data.
Number 1. The fasted architecture. The moment you open your eyes, you are in a unique biological window. Having spent 8 to 10 hours fasting, your insulin levels have dropped to their absolute baseline, and your sugar stores are partially depleted. Your system is actively searching for alternative fuel sources just to keep you moving. Your body runs on 2 primary energy currencies, sugar and fat. Normally, right after you eat, your body favors sugar. If you exercise after breakfast, you aren't touching your fat reserves. You are just burning off your morning toast. This is because the physical presence of carbohydrates forces a rapid shift in cellular signaling, commanding your mitochondria to oxidize glucose exclusively while placing your fat stores under a strict biochemical lock. To understand why your lower stomach fat feels impossible to lose, you have to understand that your body has 2 different types of fat receptors: beta receptors, which accelerate fat burning, and alpha 2 receptors, which completely freeze it. Normal fat tissue is packed with beta receptors. Stubborn belly fat, however, contains up to 10 times more alpha 2 receptors. They act like cellular padlocks, and the single molecule that locks them shut? Insulin. When you walk before eating, the script flips completely. Because no fresh glucose is entering your blood, your system is forced to turn to its primary backup reservoir, stored body fat. Walking in a deeply fasted state keeps insulin at its absolute floor, dropping a chemical green light to your cells to transition from fat storing to fat burning mode. By keeping this pathway entirely clear, your body begins mobilizing fatty acids from deep within the adipose tissue, allowing them to enter the bloodstream, where they can finally be oxidized as real energy. Number 2. The critical time horizon. Simply pacing around your kitchen for 5 minutes won't trigger this shift. The biological magic requires your system to stay inside this fasted zone for a specific duration. How long do you actually need to walk to force your body to unlock stubborn abdominal fat stores? Clinical data demonstrates that it takes roughly 15 to 20 minutes of steady-state movement just to clear residual circulating glucose. The real fat-burning sweet spot occurs between the 30 and 45-minute mark. During this window, low insulin allows your body to pull fatty acids directly from your midsection to fuel your stride. Every additional step you take past the 20-minute mark acts as a direct withdrawal from your long-term energy reserves, optimizing the conversion of stubborn lipids into usable cellular fuel. But millions of people completely destroy this advantage before they even leave the house. Imagine waking up and grabbing a hot coffee with just a splash of milk, a single teaspoon of sugar, or one tiny biscuit. In your mind, you are still doing morning exercise. But metabolically, that single bite sends a shockwave through your system. The rapid introduction of carbohydrates triggers an immediate spike in insulin. The moment insulin rises, it slams the door shut on fat mobilization. Your body instantly switches back to burning sugar. That tiny pre-walk snack completely nullified the fasted advantage. The walk is no longer a strategic metabolic override. It's just a normal walk. Your body will happily process the easily accessible sugars from that minor bite, leaving your actual physical fat cells completely untouched for the rest of the duration.
Listen close. This isn't a basic calorie math equation. This is a complete nervous system hijacking. Watch what happens to your daily hormone cycle.
Number 3, the metabolic reset. When you execute a fasted walk correctly, your insulin sensitivity undergoes a profound recalibration. Because your muscle cells have spent 45 minutes drawing down energy in a low-sugar environment, they become highly receptive to nutrients. When you finally eat, those carbohydrates are vacuumed straight into your muscle tissue to replenish energy, rather than being diverted and stored as body fat. This structural change alters how your body processes nutrients for hours after your walk is finished, creating a highly efficient metabolic buffer. Furthermore, morning walking actively regulates your cortisol production. Chronic stress is a primary driver of abdominal fat. When your nervous system is anxious, elevated cortisol signals your body to hold on to visceral fat to protect your vital organs. A gentle, steady morning walk in natural daylight achieves the exact opposite. The combination of forward movement and early morning sunlight lowers systemic inflammation and dampens your sympathetic nervous system through a neurological phenomenon known as optic flow bilateral eye movement that directly deactivates the brain's threat centers. This leads to another critical point. Should you turn that walk into a fasted sprint to maximize results? Absolute, definitive no. Intense workouts while fasting place an immense stress load on your system. Without readily available glucose, extreme exertion causes your adrenal glands to pump out a massive surge of cortisol to break down muscle tissue for emergency fuel. This flips your metabolism straight back into a protective, fat-hoarding state, entirely neutralizing the structural benefits of your morning efforts. The sweet spot is moderate, steady-state activity, a brisk, intentional walk where your breathing is slightly heavier, but you can still comfortably maintain a conversation. This specific intensity keeps your body perfectly balanced within the optimal fat oxidation window without triggering a defensive survival response from your brain. True fat loss does not function like a sudden explosion. It functions exactly like a slow-melting ice cube. At 30 degrees Fahrenheit, the ice looks completely solid. But the moment the temperature crosses that 32-degree threshold, a systematic melt begins. This slow, continuous cellular shift means that progress is accumulating behind the scenes long before you see a drastic visible change on the scale or in the mirror. The power of fasted walking is found entirely in its daily compounding effect. Burning a tiny, extra amount of visceral fat every morning might seem insignificant after one day, but over weeks and months, the cumulative effect is undeniable. To maximize this process tomorrow morning, use this simple optimization checklist. Hydrate first. Drink a large glass of room temperature water before you leave to fire up your cellular metabolism. Keep coffee black. If you use caffeine, it must be completely black. No milk, no sugar, no sweeteners. The moment you introduce sweetness, your brain prepares for calories and disrupts the fasted state. Hit the timeline. Aim for a steady 30 to 45 minutes of continuous movement. Keep the pace moderate. Walk with intention, but never push into an exhausting sprint. Now, let's look at the hard mathematical reality. Does this magically bypass the foundational laws of thermal physics? No. If you overeat by thousands of calories later in the day, no amount of fasted walking will save your waistline. But what this habit does do is shift where your body pulls energy from when you are in a deficit. It targets the lock pads. It clears the hormonal blockages. Morning fasted walking isn't a complex fitness fad. It is a simple, elegant biological leverage point. It requires no expensive gym memberships and no extreme suffering. It just requires your body, a pair of shoes, and a quiet, intentional morning walk before the rest of the world wakes up. By consistently creating this specific hormonal environment, you remove the hidden metabolic obstacles that force your system to store energy around your midsection. Tomorrow morning, make a deliberate choice. Before you reach for your phone and before you sit down for breakfast, step outside. Your future waistline will thank you for it.